Hello and welcome everyone to Vlogmas Day 12. We're halfway through and I decided to do another video that a lot of you have requested, and that is my go-to 1960s hairstyle. I get questions about this a lot because I've been kind of changing up the way that I do my hair for the time that I was like a little absent, and then when I came back I got a lot of questions on how I achieve that look, and basically whenever I do a Q&A or anything, you always ask me how I get that 1960s curl style look. And since I was just about to do my hair, I figured I would just turn on the camera and show you what I like to do. So with the haircut that I currently have, I have some layers here. It's like a very classic 1960s length, but I'm just gonna take you with me step by step. The first thing that I always do is to use some dry shampoo. I've already brushed my hair a little, but dry shampoo helps me a lot with the texture because my hair is very thin. I have a lot of it, but it's rather thin. So I like to just spray that on my roots and then also on the bangs. I honestly feel like dry shampoo helps so much with that 1960s volume look, while still just being a very great alternative to like a lot of hairspray and teasing your hair, because that's just not good for you. So with dry shampoo, just get whatever kind you like. I personally like the ones that just don't have a lot of ingredients, because with the ones that say like high volume and everything, for me personally, I feel like weirdly they just dry my hair out so much that I get this weird feeling on my scalp that I don't like. So I will just massage that in until you can't really see any of the white stuff anymore. I know you can always also get them color matched, but I really like just this regular Batiste kind. I then like to take a comb and just comb it all out. So just kind of making sure that I can remove all of the excess dry shampoo from my hair. I used to sleep a lot with curlers and do my hair with that, but it's a lot of work. I still like to do it sometimes, but recently I've kind of found myself gravitating more towards just heating tools. I know that they're not the best for your hair, but I feel like if you take good care of your hair otherwise, it's okay to do that. I showed you in my night routine. I'm gonna link that here, that I use oil a lot in the mornings. And I like to use oil both in the mornings and the evenings, just to kind of really get my hair to be nice and moistured. I also like to do hair masks, so I feel like that really helps me personally. Other than that, I tend to get like a little bit of a curl naturally, so my natural hair structure definitely isn't completely straight. So what I like to do, because it just helps with a 60s look, is as soon as I get out of the shower, I will just brush out my hair and make sure that I get it as straight as possible. And just make sure that I will get it as straight as possible. So that's it for like the brushing and volume part. I really like how it is looking. I feel like my bangs are also looking pretty good. I'm gonna be honest, I'm thinking about like cutting these side pieces, because when I went to the hairdresser, she did not cut these in. And now I'm thinking about shortening them just to like be part of the bangs anymore, because I like a very voluminous bang. Also, if you're wondering if they're too long to be like this, no, I like them a little longer because of the way that I like to style them. So the next thing that I do before I use heat always is to use a hair protection. This is like an oil hair protection thing. I just spray that all the way into my hair. I used to not use hair protection and heat protection, and it just burns your hair. Like, I don't curl it every day, I don't use heat on it every day. I actually never blow dry my hair. I feel like a lot of people are really into using a blow dryer. Me personally, I'm not. But if you use a lot of heating tools, please always make sure to use something to protect your hair. The 60s were all about a shiny, luscious hair look, so just make sure to add something to your hair to achieve that. I like to just kind of massage it in with my fingers, and that's like for me personally the best to prep the hair. So I actually like to use two different heating tools, a curler and a straightener. With the curler, I just use this one. I've had this for years and it works really well for me. However, if you're picking up a curling iron, I would recommend you to go with a pretty big barrel if you want to do a lot of 60s looks. For me personally, that's what I think works the best for the voluminous 1960s look. And then depending on the haircut that you have, if you have more of a shag or more of a straight cut, this is gonna go different for everyone. But basically what I like to do is to curl everything around my face and the bottom and then keep the rest straight. That was like a popular look in the 60s, and it also is really quick and easy. So let's start by just taking a section of the hair. I always prep it one more time by just going through it with a comb. And then I like to use the clips, but do however you like. I will just clip it and then go up only like a bit. Keep it there for a moment. I always like feel to make sure the hair doesn't get too hot because you will burn it. And then I will just take that out. And basically what you will get is like this little curled end. I used to do a lot of hairstyles where I just would flip out the ends, but I feel like this is a lot more authentic. So I'll just leave that curl alone and then get the next strength of hair. So with the sections, you can just go as thick or thin as you want. I just make sure to clip my ends in because I don't like the way that curls look when the ends aren't put in properly. It also wasn't really popular in the 60s, so then I just put it up. I kind of try to go as straight up as possible. However, I will end up curling it all towards my face, which I feel like was really popular in the 60s, and then the 70s were more about flicking it out. I'm just like gonna go strength by strength. And then I always just leave them down here to just sit a little. If you're wondering, the heat protection that I use leaves like a little bit of a coating on the hair, but that'll dry off really easily. So yes, as said, I'm just curling it in towards my face. And I don't like to go up that high. Like, I really want to make sure that the bottom part of my hair is straight and not curled. Just feeling the curl. And then when I feel like it's ready, I'll release it. As said, I can't really tell you how long to go. Just make sure to feel so that your hair won't burn. So yeah, if you have a lot of layers, then just make sure to curl all the ends of your hair, no matter where the layers end. Like, I have layers in the front, and I'm going to show you how I like to style these in a second. But for that, I just go like this, just kind of having all the curls down there. And then the closer that I get to my face, I kind of keep doing the same thing, but I just make sure to curl it all inwards towards my face. So kind of instead of like turning it outwards, I like to turn it inwards. So I will just make sure that I do that, because I feel like if you go in the wrong direction or not like particularly inwards on the other pieces, it won't really show as much as if you're not doing that on like the pieces closer to your face. So we're just like working on that part by part. It kind of looks like this for now, but we will also brush it out in the end, which will definitely change the look and really help with that voluminous look. So as you can see, I just separated that layer that is like shorter and put it more in towards my face, and then I'm gonna start with that little outer layer. Also, if you're wondering why I'm in this space and not the living room, I have access to outlets here, which is really helpful, but I'm actually thinking about filming more here because I really like it. This like little corner. So I'm just keeping that in. curling it. Okay, and now we're in on sort of like the last layers around my face, and what I like to do here is to curl it like all the way up until here where like the next layer ends, so that basically your entire face is framed with curls. Once again, we're going inwards. I feel like that's just the biggest tip for that 1960s look. Just like curling that in. Holding it like so. Just for a couple of seconds until it's like really nice and tight. As you can see, there's like a smaller string that I leave out. Then I like to release that. And this looks like very pinned as said, but by brushing it out in the end, it'll actually make for a great look. I just like to keep it unbrushed until I'm done with the entire head of hair, because it'll just stay in its shape for a lot longer. This is like the final strength before I will then end up with the bangs, and I will not do the bangs just yet, so I'll just curl that in as well. Yeah, just to kind of have it like this. And with that string, I actually like to curl it all the way up. As said, it kind of depends on how much volume you want to add around your face. I personally think that this works just the best for me. This is what I have been doing for a while now, and I really like it. So now I turn on to the other side, and then we're gonna start. Basically just doing the exact thing that we did on the other side. I feel like these sort of curls look very dated now, which is great if you want to go for a 60s look, because now I feel like it's more popular to do your whole head of hair, or even kind of going for more of like a wave. But this is just what I like to do. I've actually been thinking about making a whole video about hairstyles that I have really liked recently, because I have been inspired to kind of play around with my hair. So maybe we will do that. You can leave a comment if you would like to see that. I would actually be interested in knowing about that. Just kind of curling it all up. Okay, so depending on your hair structure, I feel like there are two things that you can do if you don't have naturally straight hair. Either you do it like me and you just kind of try and brush it out, but I feel like that only works if you, like me, don't have like real curls, but rather like a natural wave. Or, I mean, there are a ton of vintage hairstyles you can do with curly hair. I personally think curly hair is really beautiful. I have actually not liked having straight hair. It was one of my insecurities before I started to be really like happy with like the 1960s look and found myself with it, because I always felt like girls had these like beautiful head of curls and I didn't, so I didn't really feel confident with that. Same goes with my hair color. Like, I dyed my hair orange also because I thought the brown was just like plain and boring, and I love that the 60s kind of celebrate just like very natural hair structures, very natural hair colors. But this is just what I like to do. So, but since I just have straight hair and this is what I like to do, I feel like if you have curls, you can of course straighten them, you can brush them out, but I will definitely do another video on 60s hair. I've made one before, I'm gonna link that here, where I'm just gonna share some different hairstyles with you, because no matter what your hair structure is like, you can achieve a wonderful 1960s look pretty easily, I think. Just gonna keep on curling the ends. I've also just worn my hair straight a lot lately. I feel like Patty Boyd kind of made that look popular, so that Maureen Cox, a lot of girls actually just wore their hair down, and that was popular also with hippie fashion, because the 50s were so much about pinned hair, which I think is so incredibly beautiful, but it's just a lot more high maintenance than this is. I'm just like tapping into touching my hair. And then whenever I feel like it is ready, I take it out. As said, I'm not a professional or anything. I just kind of like to do what I do. It works for me. So then, just like with the other side, I separate the layers from each other, and then as closer as I get to my face, I just make sure that I will curl it all inwards. I feel like a lot of people don't really understand how much of a difference the direction that you will curl your hair in ends up making, because it's actually a big difference. As said, turned inwards to your face, it's a 60s look. Turned outwards, it's definitely more of a 1970s look. And I just feel like these sort of like pinned curl always look dated. See, I kind of missed curling the ends, so then I will just go in and make sure that I have the ends curled, because not having them curled is also what makes your hair look a lot more modern. And I feel like with your hairstyle in general, if you want to go for a 60s look, you want to do everything that already gives you a dated look. So I always curl my ends, and with this is like the same strength that I did this on the other side, so I'm just gonna do the same thing here, starting at the very ends and then curling it all in towards my face. So depending on how long your hair is, you might need to go 2 routes with the curling, because you kind of want to put it all, like I try to put it all on the barrel at once, because it really helps with like the pinned curl look and that really popular 1960s classic curl, because it wasn't about like brushing it out that much and creating a natural look. They were really looking for that fake curl or like pinned curl look, and so I feel like that really helps. But if you have longer hair, just use the barrel twice. I feel like that'll help you. I mean, it definitely works and looks something. Then once again, I take the little piece of bang that is longer, then just also curl it in, always curling it in towards the face. Sometimes I feel like it's a little hard if you want to like properly curl tiny pieces, because they won't really be held in place with the clip, but I just kind of try. And it usually ends up working in some way. Okay, now that we have this, it's time for the other tool that I like to use, which actually just is a classic straightener. If you have a big barrel, you can definitely do your bangs with that, but I only have the small one, and so we are just gonna use a straightener for the rest. And plug that in. And then heat it. This one I actually found in the streets. I feel like someone wanted to get rid of it and I picked it up. And with this one you can adjust the heat, which I think is great. I usually go with 180. I wouldn't go higher than that, but I'm just gonna let that heat up, and while that heats, I'm just sort of like brushing out my bangs a little, because you now already kind of curled your whole head of hair. The sun comes in really nicely. You will definitely see which part of the bang you will need to work on, because it's the part that just hasn't been touched yet. And so with the bangs, as said, it doesn't really matter if they're too long, because with the 60s, it's about a voluminous bang or like a voluminous fringe. So what you want to do is to just add even more volume. With this, I also just kind of like check the heat, and then I sometimes like to use it even before it's fully heated up, just because using it beforehand, like the only thing that can happen is that the curls don't like stay perfectly, but then you can just go in. Once again, just the less heat you use, the better. Okay, so I take my entire fringe, just like this, put it in, clip it, and then turn it to create a little wave, just like this. This might look insane. You can also go with like different parts, and then I like to brush that out immediately just so that it sits really nicely. And then just to make sure that it is even, I just kind of go with my hands and frizzle it and frill it a little until I like the look. Sometimes I go in like on one side again, just kind of curling that out a little more, making sure that it is all done. And basically what you're going for with this is a voluminous bang that's kind of like lifting from your head, so kind of like adds a little bit of volume in the front. And then I like to brush that into place. And now I feel like by now your curls have set on your head for a while, so what I like to do is to just go in very nicely with the comb and start brushing them out. I always start by brushing out the ends, and then that little part right here, just on both sides. Also the part up here. And that'll actually leave you with a pretty classic 1960s look. I will always just use my hands, sort of like separate them a little more, or just kind of like styling them a little more. Don't be afraid to brush out too much. You can't really like do it wrong, because it's all about like a soft curl. You don't really want it to be defined anymore, so I just like to use my hands for this to just kind of go in and through. And then that is basically like the look. This is kind of all that I want to go for. A very cute little curl that frames your face really nicely. This also just looks so good no matter how you then end up wearing it. You can also add clips or something. I feel like it's a very classic, cute 1960s look. And what it'll do is that people just look at you and they will be like, okay, this is a perfect 1960s look. The battery on my camera died, so I just had to change that, but I hope it's still sort of the same frame. You will definitely always see me fizzling in on my hair and trying to make it look perfect, but overall I love this look. I feel like this is so great for a 1960s look. All you need is a comb, some dry shampoo, but only if you're really like down for it. Heat protection and oil, I would always add that. I personally don't like to use hairspray because it just makes the hair so stiff. I don't really like that. For me, I find that if it's like dry outside, this will actually last me a couple of days, which is great. If it'll rain a lot, then it'll obviously not last, but then I will usually just go with my straight hair. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I would love you to try and recreate this look. If you do, please tag me on Instagram. I'm at Emma Rosa Katharina there too. I would love to see how incredible you look and tell you how beautiful you are. You can also achieve that look by just putting in curlers, sleeping in it. That also works really well, but for me, this is just the quickest and easiest way. So yeah, I really hope you liked this video. If you did, I would love you to give it a thumbs up, maybe even share it with a friend. It supports me, it supports the channel, and it would truly mean a lot. I hope you have a wonderful day. Go out, enjoy the weather, spin a record that you love, light a candle, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye everybody.